Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. As I said, I was going to be talking about some lighter topics such as, like the fashion. And then today we are talking a bit about like a topic that is a bit deeper, a bit heavier, especially if you are suffering from it. So as you probably already saw by the title, today we're talking about chronic pain. Unfortunately, chronic pain is something that I know too well. So I thought I'll share with you my experience with it, how I got chronic pain, and what do I do every day. I think what would be very interesting is to do more like a vlog and to show you exactly what I'm doing on a daily basis. There are like different steps that I will go through today. So obviously I'm not a doctor, so if you've got any concern, if you think you've got chronic pain or you've got certain condition, please go to your doctor. They would be the best person to talk to. Today I'm only sharing my experience with pain and what do I do with my specific type of pain to make it easier and tell you a bit more about my story. Anyway, the first thing that I will obviously talk about is what is chronic pain. For that, I'll actually go on Google because I don't want to do and say anything wrong. The first, which is here in Australia, healthdirect.gov.au, say chronic or persistent pain is pain that lasts for more than 3 months or in many cases beyond normal healing time. So what does that mean? That means that, for example, you break your leg, there is that healing period of time where you've got acute pain, and that's where your brain is actually telling you something is wrong. So this is the acute pain, and then, for example, to heal a bone, that would be, I don't know, like I think it's about 6 weeks. And then if you experience pain outside of that healing window, then you can actually develop chronic pain. That's what it means. And it's actually mentioning it's different from acute pain, such as pain from an injury, which develops quickly and doesn't usually last for long. People probably think that chronic pain is associated with a very specific thing. The problem, I think, with chronic pain, it's invisible. You can't actually see that people are in pain from diabetes, probably from your limbs, arthritis, fibromyalgia, irritable bowel, which is a condition where you've got issues with your gut. I also have this one, which is not great. And I've got the last one, which is back pain. It's only some example. I know migraines is considered chronic pain. And something that we forget too often is endometriosis and period pain. So I know every month I'm gonna have this pain, and no, it's not normal. Today I'm focusing on the pain resulted from my injury in 2020. Yeah, they say what is the most common cause of chronic pain: arthritis, osteoarthritis, fibromyalgia, and also obviously the pain from cancer, multiple sclerosis, stomach ulcers, AIDS, gallbladder disease. So as you can see, chronic pain is more common than we think. I did a workshop when I had my wellness clinic, and I remember reading something about 20%, which is a lot, is as many people have chronic pain as they are hypersensitive. Back in 2020, I was running my business, it was going really well, and I got my motorcycle license. I think you know where it's going. In October 2020, I went on the ride after work, as I would do quite often. So quite often after work I would go for a drive or for a ride, and that day I just decided to go for a ride. I had my high-vis jacket, I had my helmet, and I did my tour, and then I was actually waiting for someone and then wouldn't hear back. So I decided to come back home, and then on the way back, pretty scary. So literally 400 meters from where I was living at the time, I had my accident. So it's so scary. So I was coming back into town on the roundabout. I was like going straight. I was probably, no joke, like doing probably 15 Ks or 20 Ks an hour, if not less. I was like super slow. and I saw this four-wheel drive coming on my left, because you know in Australia it's like reverse from France, but so coming on the left, so I was already engaged on the roundabout, and I saw this car, and I knew it was going to happen. I knew, and I remember, I think I said very loudly, like, no, 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 not now. And that's what I said. You know, like, you know it's going to happen. You know it's happening. And I was like, what? Like, all the things that I've heard about accident, and it's happening like right now? I just don't have time. That's what I was thinking. Anyway, so basically, because we had like cameras, I didn't see the footage, but the police saw the footage. So the guy was coming like straight on the roundabout. I think he was doing 50 or 60 k's an hour, and then he hit me like that, right? And instead, normally you stop, you freaking stop. No, he like hit me, and then decided, like, so obviously like I fall off my bike, so I'm here, my bike is here. No, it's just going on top of me. Why? Well, it was on drugs, but anyway, that was full on, because I actually didn't lose consciousness. That was pretty full on. I remember everything. I remember being under the car. I remember feeling, I didn't have pain at the time, but I remember feeling the tires of the car going over me. That was just like crazy. And then when it was like over, I remember like I was feeling, you know, like when you do that and then you feel like your hand is like hanging. Sorry, it's like heavy. I was feeling that my leg was like literally hanging from, like, I felt like there was nothing to support. And there was just two beautiful women, a daughter and her mom. Like, obviously I know who they are. I talked with them a lot after, but they were just the most beautiful. And I feel so sorry because they had to witness, they were like in the car behind that guy, and they came and helped me. And that poor girl, I think she was probably like 15 at the time, screaming at her, please hold my leg, because there was nothing to support, you know, my leg anymore. It was weird. It felt like I was coming out of my body. Like I felt like I was seeing the scene from above, and I know it's called dissociation, where you actually look at yourself, you see yourself lying there, and that's what happened. Like I was literally looking at the scene. I remember thinking, oh my god, there's so many people around, and I remember like telling my friend to call my mom. It was just like surreal. Apparently people who were like 500 meters at the very end of the town, they could hear me screaming, and I was screaming. The pain was just awful because they had to put me in a stretcher and then squeeze, you know, like to maintain me, and I had like a brace and thing. It was just like full on. They put me in the ambulance, but I know afterwards, the guy that actually put me in the helicopter after, he said, she won't make it. So they put me in a helicopter. I was airlifted to a big hospital in Melbourne. I will go into more detail on like this, because I had actually a near-death experience, because I actually clinically died in the helicopter, and I remember meeting death. So I definitely, I don't know, I think it's so interesting. And at the time, I was so against medication and any like external thing that the surgeon came and said, well, you've got major bleeding, you've got this, and you've got half of your pelvis, like it's crumbled. So you've got this, you've got that, and you need the plates and screws. If not, you're going to die. And I said, thank you, I'll think about it. I think I was like, yeah. But it was funny, like, yeah, looking back, I'm like, yeah, mate, yeah, just what are you doing? But anyway, so basically what I had was half of my pelvis crumbled into pieces. I had a surgery of 8 or 9 hours, 3 major surgeons, 7 blood transfusions. So I had the wall of an artery just popping. I had a crack in my vertebrae. I was just like, a lot. If I would have had this accident about 30 years ago, they wouldn't have had the equipment and the technology to do the surgery they did. So I would have been dead 30 years ago, which is crazy. Anyway, I always say it, but it sort of hit me now. Anyway. So after that, like in the hospital, I was in so much pain, like so much pain. And I had to have like morphines, and yeah, I was in ICU for a while. So I had morphines and meds and all that and this and that and that. So I think altogether I spent 3 or 4 months in hospital, which is a lot. That was during lockdown. Not many people like could see me. I think I was allowed to have 1 visitor a day for an hour, and I couldn't go out at all. And then so yeah, I went to rehab after that, and basically they said you might end up in a wheelchair. Maybe the best would be like with a stick, and I was like, I will walk. I was in pain constantly. I wouldn't have like, I would be in pain non-stop. I think the pain really eased probably like 5 months later, which is a long time, and all your body like, yeah. And then also because I had used crutches, my fingers started to go crazy. I had like that, those trigger fingers. I'm not rude, but I just can't do a fist anymore. When I'm driving, I'm like, hello. And then when I'm lifting weight, I was like, hello. I'm not rude, I just can't bend it anymore. Really, the pain that I want to talk about is something different from this acute pain that I had in hospital and in rehab. Is the pain that sort of remained 3 months, 4 months, 5 months after. And then that's the pain I was left with. I think I've been assessed that I lost about 30% of my capacities, which is a lot. So I can't stand, I can't sit for too long, I can't do this, I can't do that. So I lost my business. I had to stop working. I had my cafe, and then I actually had to shut this down. On top of everything that you're going through, one, you have to grieve your body, and then second, you have to grieve your own business. That was full on. I have so much to talk about. But yeah, so the chronic pain that I'm left with today, that I've got every single day, yeah, aching and burning. And this is in different and various part of my body. Obviously, there is my hip, there's my leg, there is my lower back, and there is my hand. So I would say they are the most painful parts of my body, which is a lot. In terms of numbness, because that's another part that when you've got an injury and then my nerves have been like damaged, so then I can't feel my foot, my left foot. So many times I would walk and then trip because I can't actually lift it anymore. So they are my main concern in terms of what it prevents me from doing or what I can't do because of that. As I said, it's standing for a long time. And I say long time, it's like 10 minutes. Right now, first I took some medication and I've got back pain like right now. So sitting is very challenging. I can probably go in the car for like 30 minutes without discomfort. I would still sit, but I would be in discomfort. So that's really what I can't do. Obviously, I can't run anymore, or I can't lift heavy weights as I used to. Well, I lost my quality of life. Let's be honest. When you've got chronic pain, your quality of life is very diminished. I'm only 34, and when that happened, I was like 32 or 31. You have everything going on. You've hobbies, you've got your social life, you've got your work life, and all of a sudden, it's gone. And yeah, it is what chronic pain does to you. It does affect how you live your life. And because it's invisible, people look at me and they say, oh, you look amazing. But today, I took some medication. So don't be fooled by what you see. There's so many people that actually are in pain. And the intention with today's video is to tell you that no, you're not alone. And there are so many people that just don't get it. And unfortunately, so many people have to go through it to finally understand what chronic pain is. And it's so sad because how many women around you have endometriosis? Maybe you are suffering from endometriosis. It is debilitating. You can't go to work, and because you're not in a wheelchair or because you don't have like a cast on, it's invisible. People don't see that you're actually in pain. I remember I had like, my disabled pass. Anyway, so I was like parked at the front of the shop. Like a older guy comes and I was feeling like he was like looking at me heavily, and I was like, I know what you want. And I was like, excuse me, it's probably my French way. I was like, what's going on? What do you need? Do you need anything? It's like, what are you bloody doing? Like you're on a disabled park. And I'm like, yeah, that's because it's disabled that I'm there. He said, you don't really need anything. Look at you. You're fine. Bloody. And he said, I had knee replacement. I've never done anything. I never used like a disabled car park. And I said, well, sorry, I just got run over by a car. He's like, I was like, excuse me, like you don't need to tell me what is going on. Anyway, I just got so angry. Because usually it's people that just probably a bit bored with their life that would come at you and tell you that what you're doing is wrong. Don't listen to that. Just move on. Like, they don't even worth any minute. Even I got angry and I realized, I was like, you know what? That's his problem, not mine. So now I want to share with you, what do I do to manage my symptoms? The first thing that I do to manage my symptoms, and maybe you don't want to hear it, and maybe I didn't want to hear it, is I'm still taking medication. To this day, I wouldn't have been able to recover as much as I did if I wouldn't have been taking my medication. I remember the surgeon and the doctors telling me that if you're in constant pain, your body is actually not healing because you're putting so much stress on your muscles that your body like restrict, and then you actually don't heal as much. So I was like, okay, give me the meds. So obviously today it's different meds that I'm taking, but I'm still taking medication. I'm not going to go into details because this is very tailored to me, and what I'm taking might not work for you, and I'm not a doctor. I'm just taking what the doctors are recommending for me. But the other things that I do for my pain are the things that I think are very, very important. The number one is exercise. I was at the gym every single day after my accident. I was with my wheelchair in the beginning, then I was with my crutches, then I was with one crutch, then I was with a stick, then I was with nothing, and I was training and training and training. And no, you're not doing what you were doing before, but whatever you can train. I was injured on the bottom of my body. I was training my upper body, and then I was doing very simple exercise for my leg, but exercise. And I guarantee still now I need to exercise. I have more pain when I don't exercise than when I do exercise. I need exercise first, my mental health. I need that. There is this misconception that if you are using the injured area, you're going to make it worse. So yes, initially, but then after, you have to move. You really have to move. Unless you've got something that prevent you from any movement that your doctor told you to, I guarantee you that if I wouldn't have gone to the gym every day like I did, all like the physio, the doctors, they were all telling me that I could do what I was doing. So then I did it, and I did it very thoroughly, and the more I was doing it, the more I was improving. I guarantee you I wouldn't be in that same condition that I am now if I wouldn't have gone to the gym every day. I swear. And also, it is sometimes, sorry, I'm probably going to be a bit harsh, but sometimes I think it's a bit of an excuse to have an injury, to say, I'm not moving. Even if you've got a cast on your leg, you still have your arms. So buy some dumbbells and do some bicep curls or something. The same for my back. So when I've got back pain, as I do now, what I'll do is I take my foam roller and I'll do like a session of stretching. So this is the best. So comes to the second is stretching, which you have to stretch. Stretch, stretch, stretch. If you're not into yoga, just buy a mat and just do some simple stretches. That is the best thing for me, because what I do sometimes, for example, if I sit still for a too long period of time, I feel like my muscles are freezing. Other thing that is vital, very, very important, as a naturopath, as a life and health coach, I tell you, diet. Look at what you're eating. If you have sugar, certain type of fats, processed food, you will trigger inflammation. Inflammation is what your body has to fight an acute condition, an acute injury. By keeping your inflammation down, you also give your body the ability to actually heal again. And pain is also how your body reacts to certain receptors in your brain. I've got one specific thing in mind. Popcorn that you're buying in stores is made with canola oil, sunflower oil. So those oils, they're actually very high in omega-6. And omega-6, too much of omega-6 triggers inflammation. You don't want to trigger inflammation. You don't want sugar. You don't want to have too much added sugar in your diet. In rehab, but I didn't have any type of sugar. The other thing that obviously, I can't say that I have got that under control, but I can guarantee you that when my mood is low, my pain is higher. Working on my stress, anxiety, depression, it's something that I really do every day. Probably sounds a bit boring, but I guarantee you it's working. Having a good sleep hygiene, the more you're gonna reduce your sleep window, the more hangover you're gonna feel even without, drinking anything. Also, caffeine can be like a trigger. I know I used to be able to run with 6 or 7 hours of sleep. Now I need 9. Also, for my mood, I know, and I'm very guilty of that, is social media and phone. If I go to bed with my phone, or I wake up and the first thing that I do is actually checking my phone, I know I'm gonna have a bad day. So it's those things that you can do that I know everyone talks about, but actually how many people are actually doing it consciously? If I'm looking and watching my computer or my phone, I'm gonna start to look at other people. I'm gonna start comparing myself. I'm gonna start judging myself. And my mood, guaranteed, it's gonna do that. Always, always. Also, something that works extremely, extremely well for me, meditation. Find what works for you in terms of meditation. I've got phases where I like to have a guided meditation. If it's easier for you, I think you should try. I'm using Calm. I've tried different things. I think I've tried Smiling Mind. I love soundscape. I love putting a rainy forest or a beach or something. I love it, and I don't need any guidance. So that comes with my other point, which is music. We quite often forget the power of music. We forget that music is also helpful to release endorphin and to make you feel good. We all have our favorite songs, and I can't live without music. Obviously, my stress it's far from being under control, but I know there are things that I can do to make it better. Also, the last thing, because if not, this video will go for absolutely ever, is massage. And yes, I go and have a massage. I'm trying maybe like every 2 weeks, but also I do massage myself. What I'll do on my side, this, massage myself. And you can do that like really easily. And same, you can do like your shoulder, like you can feel like it's tight. I used to be a massage therapist. I forgot something. So one more thing is cold showers and warm bath. If you have chronic pain, or if you know someone close to you who have chronic pain, you know that it's an everyday struggle. And as I said, it's an invisible. So let's be kind to everyone around. And something that helps me a lot is just be open. I'm very transparent. I say, yes, I can do that. No, I can't do that. I've got my limitations. Don't see yourself as a failure. By you saying, yes or no. It's empowering you. You stand in your power to be like, this is who I am. Don't see yourself as a victim. You're not weak. You're not less this or less that. You're you. I'm myself. And it took me ages to understand that this is the new me. This is a massive win for me. I'm so happy. You will get there. Life is all about balance. Do the things that make you happy. That's like my advice, really. Life is too short. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video and I'll see you next time. Bye!